Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Shafi'u Suleiman. Now, Section 7, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution guarantees the establishment of democratically elected local governments with their establishment, structure, and composition, finance, and functions left in the hands of state assemblies to promulgate. The main functions of the local governments enshrined in the fourth schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended are, among others, construction and maintenance of roads, streets and street lighting, drains and other public highways, provision and maintenance of public conveniences, development of agriculture and natural resources, provision of maintenance of health services, etc. Ironically, the local government system has successfully been turned by the state governors into an avenue to corruptly enrich themselves through what they call joint accounts, caretaker committees, and building of patronage networks, and to also manipulate political outcomes. The third tier of the government is also seen to be dysfunctional and plagued by contract fraud, bribery, kickbacks, ghost worker syndrome, outright embezzlement of public funds, among several other malfeasance. Findings have also shown that between 2011 and 2021 alone, local governments in Nigeria have gulfed over 16 trillion naira with little or nothing to show for it. Their functional nature has also exacerbated poverty, insecurity, unemployment, hunger, and destitution at the grassroots level, leading to several measures by successive governments to free them from the shackles of the state governors, culminating into the just initiated legal action by the Tinubu administration. It is against this backdrop we'll be interfacing with the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, Yabagi Sani. We'll also be joined by Barrister Murtala Abdurrashid, SAN, a former National Publicity Secretary of the Nigeria Bar Association, also a member of the 2023 APC Presidential Election Legal Team. He'll be joining us via Zoom from Oshogbo, the Osun State capital. Now, together we'll be looking at the federal government suit against the 36 states over local government's autonomy and the age-long resistance by state governors to free the LGAs. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Shafi'u, for having me.
Now, but before we commence the conversation, here are some tidbits. Our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, has knocked the administration of President Bola Tinubu over poor implementation of the removal of subsidy from petroleum products, as well as plotting of the naira. Obasanjo said, though the policies were necessary, they were wrongly implemented. According to a statement made available to journalists on Sunday by his special assistant of media, Kainde Akinyemi, Obasanjo also condemned Nigeria's approach to the coup in the Republic of Niger. He was said to have spoken in Abuja at the weekend at a colloquium tagged Nigeria's development, navigating the way out of the current economic crisis and insecurity. The ex-president said today the government has taken 3 decisions, 2 of which are necessary but wrongly implemented, and have led to the impoverishing of the economy and of Nigerians. These are the subsidy removal, closing the gap between the black market and official market of the exchange rate, and the third, dealing with a military coup in Niger Republic. And elsewhere, speaking on the possibility of being supported as a Southeast candidate in the 2027 presidential election by Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi appreciated Atiku's gesture. The Labour Party candidate noted that his primary concern is not personal ambition or political maneuvering, but rather the well-being of Nigeria and its people. The 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate said he is not desperate to be president, but desperate to see Nigeria work, especially for the poor people, because the country has a lot of potentials. Now it is time we take a short break. Our conversation commences. Right, we still expect Abdurrashid to join us from Oshogbo. Here in the studio, as I told you earlier, we have engineer Yabagi Sani. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you very much, Shafi'u, for having me.
Right, okay. Before we commence, the main topic, let's look at these tidbits. As part of our style, we come up with topical issues in the polity. So one of it is former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He has joined other Nigerians in condemning what he called, the handling of this policy options of the Tinubu administration. He was very, very particular about, the subsidy removal and the plotting of the Naira. He said this were necessary, but not properly handled. Do you agree with him?
Well, to a very large extent, I do. But if you look at the complications in governance and the challenges that one normally faces whenever you are in charge, especially a country like Nigeria, we have a lot of complexities. And the size of the country, the fact that we are not only a country, but we are also a big player in the global setting. So that will tell you that these issues that the former president talked about, subsidy removal, unification of the rates, of Naira, exchange rate. There are issues that have international dimensions. So it's not completely up to Nigeria, really.
Okay.
So this is why the complexities is the fact that the government here may be wanting to do one thing, but the interest groups that are entrenched, will obviously would not like to go the way of the government. And that's where the problem comes from. And that's why I also blame President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for not going the whole hog. What do I mean? I mean, there has to be
some consultation,
a reason why we are where we were, And he himself, when he announced that subsidy is gone, he said few Nigerians have cornered, the resources that were supposed to accrue to Nigerians in terms of the benefits that would come from the subsidy. Okay, now that you have withdrawn the subsidy, what about those Nigerians that were responsible for this conundrum that we are in and this hardship that has been visited on poor Nigerians that do not know, really why what is happening to them. So this is why some of us are calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to quickly probe the oil and gas sector, particularly the administrators of the subsidy when it was there. Like he's doing with CBN. In CBN too, it was subsidy that were given to support the Naira. It was subsidized. We are subsidizing Naira, just like
in a way.
Government, yes, not in a way, directly. Directly, we are directly supporting Naira. That's why billions of dollars were spent in order to keep Naira at that artificial level. So now, the same thing with the issue of petroleum products, where we were spending billions, in ensuring that the price of petrol at that time was at that affordable, not only stable, affordable to an average Nigerian. So why did you just pick one area and leave the other when even the problem of the Naira, that we're talking about could be traced directly to the oil and gas sector? Because where do we get the revenue? Where do we get the dollar into our foreign account?
Largely the sales of crude oil.
For the sale of crude oil, most of which is being stolen. So that's why we're expecting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do the needful, and the needful is to bring the culprits, people who are responsible for us to be where we are. Because if you don't, the issue is that if we do not, if he doesn't, we are going to be in this vicious cycle for as long as that problem remains, because you have not addressed the root cause of the problem.
Are we not already in it? We're still within the cycle, because if you said you should probe the ones, earlier accused of shortchanging Nigerians,
yes,
what happened to the new set of oil subsidy cabal? Because what Nigerians have been told is that subsidy is still being paid. In fact, more than what was being paid before. A trillion naira monthly.
Because I said there's an international dimension to it. And the fact of the matter is that the same people, the same managers of the industry, are the same people that are still there. So we are not yet out of the woods. And the truth of the matter is that until the government summon the political will and the courage to address this cankerworm, of corruption that is in the oil and gas sector, because you cannot joke with the sector of the economy that gives you over 90% of your revenue. You can't joke with that sector.
The cash cow, so to
The
speak.
cash cow, yes, exactly. You cannot. You can't toy with it.
Yeah. Okay, but then talking about political will, how do you summon a political will when perhaps, you can also, you can't stop the bleeding, but then you're inflicting more injuries on Nigerians, because if you remove the subsidy and the payment is still on, and Nigerians are suffering, then where are we?
Yeah, where are we?
Double jeopardy.
No, double jeopardy, because the root cause of the problem has not been addressed. That's the point I'm making. And that's the point I think Mr. President, the former president, is also talking about, that the implementation was poorly done. Implementation means that you must go the whole hog. It's not just a question of stopping the benefits that is going to the masses, but also dealing with those that were stealing and are still there stealing, like you are saying, that are benefits that government has made available to the poor citizens. So until you deal with that root cause, we can't get out of it. That's what we are talking about. That's why you are saying that something is still there, and they're telling you it's not there.
That's what they're telling Nigerians.
Yes.
I mean, experts are telling Nigerians.
So the fact of the matter is that crude oil theft is going on. The sector is arbitrarily run. We don't have a way of determining how much crude oil we are producing. We don't have a way of knowing how much we're exporting. We don't have a way of checking, what is happening in that sector. It's as opaque as you can ever think of.
And now we're celebrating an individual, Dangote, coming to rescue us. At least so that we don't.
But there are structural issues. That's why Dangote refinery has not been able to meet its announced, all the promises that, we're going to start producing fuel by this month, by November, by July, by this. There are structural problems that must be addressed. That's the issue we're talking about.
Right.
Why are your four refineries not working? The same structural problems, the same managerial problems are the ones that are working against any good program that the policies that government may introduce.
Several deadline. Several take-up line. Dates for Port Harcourt refinery. I think the last about 3 or 4 different timelines.
Even the private one, the one that had the courage to set up 670,000 barrels per day of crude oil, is now looking at another country outside this country to get crude oil. So I'm saying that there's a structural, fundamental problem in that sector, and until tinubu wakes up and deal with it, he's joking. It will not work.
That's a very strong one. I hope the government is
look at all the days, look at all the months. He means well. Bola Tinubu wants to solve this problem like this. But there are fundamental issues
that needed to be addressed.
Yes.
Okay. Because we have to look at other issues, I would have maybe some other time. This is another very, very strong topical issue in Nigeria. But then the other issue has to do with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party saying that he welcomes, the alliance, if you like, or possible merger between the LP and the PDP, especially considering the fact that there was a statement credited to the former vice president saying he is likely going to support him, perhaps if the party decides, that the candidate should come from the Southeast, for instance.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is that you cannot you cannot, shadow, boxing.
Okay.
And, because the fact we know, and that has not changed,
okay,
that the politics of this country is so interwoven with the three sentiments, dichotomies that we have in this country.
Okay.
There are three dichotomies.
Okay.
Peter Obi is aware of it because he personifies it.
Okay. What are these fault lines? Let's get to know them.
Atiku Abubakar is aware of it. He also personifies it. Which is religion, regionalism, and ethnicity. So these three dichotomies, the fault lines, like you call them, are there, and they are still real. Nothing has changed since 2023.
But they're trying to put themselves,
the fact of the matter is that the fact of the matter is this: it's just daydreaming or politicking, as it is. For you to think that come 2027, the Yorubas will abandon Tinubu and will go and vote for Peter Obi.
But going by the statistics, what did they do in 2023?
Yeah.
Perhaps that's the way they go. A number of them,
A number of the Yorubas?
Of course.
You have to really, investigate and weigh the two situations I'm talking about. This is not Bola Tinubu, the candidate. It's Bola Tinubu, the president.
Okay. It's about continuity now, not about.
Yeah. It's about the fact that at that point in time, and we don't have any law in this country that says that if you are a president and you want to go for second term, you must vacate your office, so that the power of incumbency, will not become a problem for your competitors or for your opponents. So the fact of the matter is that, and we know how much have we done also in addressing the problems that we had with INEC. What do we do?
But here,
So the point I'm making is that's why I said daydreaming and shadow punching or something like that. That's what. But that's politics in any case. We must have something to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
But I'm just trying to call your attention to the realities of the situation. That in spite of the fact that you said Lagos was lost by
a number of states, Oshun and a number of states.
Yes, was lost. But again, look at the dynamics. That led to that. And then when you again look at the same sentiment I'm talking about, as it plays, in the north. Don't forget the fact that these three sentiments I mentioned, they have what we call they have clock.
Okay.
They have a clock in their heads. They are counting. Okay, this one will be there for how many years? 4 years, 8 years, isn't it? And then it will be my turn. That political clock is there, it's ticking. So, and you cannot come when Bola has done 4 years and Peter Obi will now come and say, I'm going to do 8 years, if he takes over. When will the North have the opportunity of coming? North, the political clock in the heads of the North is also counting, that we are just going to wait for 8 years before the North can now come back into equation, to reckoning as far as power is concerned. So these are realities in our political space.
Okay, this is an aspect, He was actually talking about the fact that he was for it, that is for the alliance and talks and what have you, that is if it is in the interest of Nigerians. That what he abhors is perhaps, coming together for power grabbing, simply because they want to grab power. But then if it is aimed at, getting Nigeria out of the doldrums, is that also politicking?
What else is it? What else is it? We are politicians, isn't it? and they are politicians, and they are saying things that will gladden or make you happy. That, oh, okay, this man is a gentleman. This one is not interested
He's
in
a
power.
nationalist.
Yes,
a patriotic.
You know, it's not interested in power or anything. You know, it's just interested. Who is not interested in making sure that this country works? Who? There's hardly anybody that you will ask, you know, in that kind of...
I thought he's trying to get himself out of the cycle that believe in state capture, for instance, for, you know, power sharing and...
Can you tell me what state capture means? What does the meaning of state capture?
Perhaps he believes that the political elites always gang up against the ordinary people, and they are the interests of power and power sharing and what have you.
Yeah, that's the point we are making. When you say power sharing. Power sharing, you see, I told you that the two individuals you talked about personify those sentiments. You know, and the power sharing that you are talking about, both of them are aware of the political clock, you know, which ticks. And as it's ticking, everybody is watching it. Once it is
the time,
it's our time. It's our turn.
The Emilocon.
Yes. You know, you can talk about not interested in power or not interested in anything. You know, you don't want to take any water in the Aso Rock when you get there. You want to bring your own water or something like that. So I don't spend this money. Nobody will listen to you.
So if I understand, as we round up on this now, the two political gladiators, presidential candidates, might just be toying with Nigerians.
Yeah, it's just politics. It's pure politics, and they all know it. And of course, we must have something to talk about, and that's the issue. That it's fine. So this man is a saint, or he doesn't really want our money. He's not interested in our money. You know, he's just interested in helping us to get out of the doldrum, which they were responsible for us being where we are today.
That's a serious one. Okay.
No. They have been part and parcel of the system.
That's right.
It's not an indictment.
Even though, you know, some would say yes, at some level, perhaps you haven't been at the power, at the center. You've been governor for 8 years, and, well, I don't know. You know,
I know.
The configuration.
Are we not talking? Your main topic today is about governance misrule.
Exactly.
So it wasn't he. He didn't participate in that. He didn't use what do you call it?
By the way, I understand. You know, Anambra was among the states that had never had, you know, local government elections in the last 16 years or so. I can't remember precisely. Anyway,
so that's what I'm saying.
Let's go into it.
It's politics.
Let's go into
it. We can just enjoy ourselves.
Yes, local government, you know, very central, very critical to development. You know, especially governance. The fact that they are more closer to the people. You know, this projection that around 70 to 75% of the population lives at the grassroots level. And here we are with the third tier of government that has been in comatose for quite a very long time. How does this, perhaps, let me get your impression, you know, affects the governance deficits, especially in this country?
You see, Shafi'u always like to address the fundamental issues. The fundamental issue is this. You see, when your system of recruitment of leadership is fraudulent, what do you expect to have?
Fraudulent? I think
fraudulent, yes, fraudulent.
Okay.
The third tier of government, local government, you know, elections, like you know, it's like an organized crime, you know, without any shame. How do you conduct an election and say no other party, you know, wins anything? That is just one party, regardless of who you failed. That's why we get it wrong.
Yeah.
Because the governors anoint whoever they want to anoint. You know, they can take their cook, somebody cooking for them. Believe you me.
To be a council chairman.
Yes.
So long as he's going to obey the rules.
Because he's going to obey. Yes, they'll put him there. So it's not, you know, if you trace the history of this of local government, you know, to even pre-colonial time, you
the
know,
native authority. Then.
We had the chieftaincy type, you know, the chiefs and what have you, when they held sway, the emirs, the chiefs, and things like that, until they came to the administrative. District, you know, officers and things like that. And then the 1930, you know, amendments, you know, to that, which gives, you know, and then, you know, there have been also some riots, you know, against the direct rule or rather the indirect rule. Maybe you have forgotten.
That was being used by the colonial.
Exactly. You've forgotten the Abia women demonstration, things like that, and what have you. It's all about, you see, that's why the crops of Nigerians we have today were docile. We just accept anything from the governors. Or from the government, let me use
But is it the fault of Nigerians? Because if you're talking about, some would say this is a systemic problem, especially looking at the legal framework. Because if you look at the law, establishing the local governments, you realize that several functions have been given to the state. The states have the responsibility of, I read it earlier, deciding the structure, deciding how the election will take place, how it's going to be administered, and all of that.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making. That the fundamentals we mustn't look at the effect. We must look at the cause. The cause is the manner of elections. That's why I was telling you that it is an organized crime. It's a mockery of democracy. And it's there. So and then you look at the way by which, if somebody, even if you don't change that, how people become leaders. That's why I say if your process of recruitment of leadership is fraudulent, you are going to have fraudulent leaders. They will not deliver. They won't work for the people in any case. Because if you do not allow people to determine who represents them, so this is the crux of the matter. So that's why they now, like you rightly said, the law has given them, the powers to appoint their own electoral body, to decide so many things about the structure and things like that. So now, if we have now woken up, from the slumber, and we now know that and then the federal government is now, fighting, that, it's even, how do you say it? This comedy, it's like comedy, because the same Attorney General and the Minister of Justice was the one that was fighting,
conversing for
exactly.
Fighting for against the abolishment of
exactly what he's doing now
of the joint accounts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the issue is that, thank God, it's never late. It's better late than never. So if we have now come to the terms that we need to be serious, because insecurity is not abating. People are being killed like chickens. Every day. It's not even something that is done. And the simple reason why that is happening is because the third tier, like you rightly said, which is the closest to the people, there's an embarrassing, a level of misrule there, that the people's money is not utilized in the manner it's supposed to. They're supposed to build schools, healthcare facilities, and secure the people also. Education, exactly. Provide, employment for people, because So these are the things that we are just waking up now. And then Buhari, when he was there, he tried. There was an executive order he issued, and they shut it down, isn't it? So
we'll talk about that, because it's a complex situation.
It is.
We'll look at the networks, so to speak. But then you talked about the recruitment process, or for instance, the organization of the election, how it was being done in favor of the states. Now people are canvassing for a return, or rather that aspect should be given to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for instance. Would it be any different if INEC is conducting election at the state level? Because it is the same, there is a government at the center which also has interest.
Well, a problem will change name, that's all.
like it did with the power sector, at some point.
Yeah, the problem has changed name. Because the fact of the matter is that I'm not sure Nigerians in their large numbers are satisfied with even the national elections. Yeah, national elections. But one thing that you must give to INEC is the fact that they are by far, better than the ones that the governors appoint, because the difference will be this. The difference will be this. Whoever is the INEC chairman, would not have been appointed by any governor. So their level of influence on him,
that is as individuals, as governors.
As governors, yes. they cannot have that kind of influence, on the chairman of INEC, as it is the case now.
Yeah, we're seeing some semblance of that working perhaps in the security sector. Now that things are happening in some states, you find out governors perhaps will want to use the security agencies, and then they get instructions from the center. So at some point they can resist and say, no, we have to do this. And that. So that will also be some level of that will be attained in the electoral process.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I think that's why INEC may be much better than what you have today, because they can be independent to an extent. But of course, the issue of use of money until that is addressed. And then, and the other things that are there which are not within the powers of INEC, really.
Right, okay. Those are the issues actually we'll be talking about, because, it is not just about the election.
No.
It is not just about deciding who becomes a local government chairman.
Exactly.
Other aspects of it, like the joint account has been there.
Yes.
Monies are channeled towards those accounts.
Yes.
Even though unconstitutional, some say. Because the Constitution, envisaged that local government funds should be given directly to them.
Exactly.
And that was what former President Buhari was actually happening at.
Exactly.
But we've seen how it was shut down by even those that are at the receiving end.
Exactly.
State assemblies.
Exactly.
Who were given autonomy.
Exactly.
They rejected it.
Exactly.
So
So the issue is that all of them are aware. Section 162 of the Constitution is there, which says that the money, which is accruable to the state, should be given to them directly. Right. So it's not as if it's in black and white, But why was federal government sending money to them? Under which the
fact,
yes, what is the compelling reason why government will not cite this section of the Constitution that 162 says no?
Yeah, but that is part of what the government is canvassing now.
Yes.
Part of the grounds for this legal action is actually to espouse some of those. Because the government is saying that there should be the Supreme Court should pronounce henceforth that it doesn't have any obligation to send monies to to states.
Yes.
One, that did not conduct elections properly, and then should also abolish
caretaker committees.
Those beyond the caretaker committees should also make an order asking directing that the monies should be channeled
directly
to the local government.
Exactly.
But would anything change? If
No, I think things will change. It will change in the sense that local governments will now become more of center of attraction, to these agencies of government, like what NIFIU was trying to do.
Right.
Isn't it? So with the money
tracking the money.
Exactly. With the money now directly going to local government coffers, they can easily track, and trace, the money.
Yeah.
So again, the issue is the courts.
Okay.
Because it's not finding a criminal that is the issue. Will he be punished?
That's it.
In accordance with the law. So the judiciary is still there. That is one aspect of our, being as a country that must be addressed also.
Right. This has taken the legal route. The for successive other governments, have taken the route of legislative action, for instance, even executive orders.
Yes.
But then looking at the impediment, the fact that you have to get that 2/3 of the states to concur, and these states are also in the hands, if you like, of the governors.
Yes.
So that might not be possible. Will this legal route, provide, the leeway? Because you think that will happen?
Certainly. Certainly it will, because you have the constitutional provision that says you must do this. And now you have Supreme Court order, isn't it, which now the federal government can rely on, you know.
Not to, just like it said.
Yes, not to.
It shouldn't be under any obligation to.
Exactly. To send money, but they have to address, like I said, the root cause, which is elections. Yeah. You know, and I think, like you rightly said, if INEC takes over, you know, I'm sure there will be some sanity. Sanity, which can lead to a much better outcome in terms of elections.
Yeah, we're talking about, you know, filtering of the resources or the corruption.
Yes.
It is just beyond the governor, for instance. We talked about some of the challenges, even when the local governments were functioning.
Yes.
Corruption is embedded in it.
Yes.
You know, embezzlement, you know, outright embezzlement, you know, favoritism, you know, and all of that.
Yes.
These were challenges, you know, at the local government level.
No, but don't forget that we're making some progress, because now, unlike before, people did not have ways by which they can report these things. You know, but now you have the whistleblower. You know, you have government coming up with some, even EFCC and all these things coming up with their portals, their telephones and all these things.
Some are even advocating that the anti-graft agencies should also be decentralized so that they can they can be more effective.
Exactly.
Beyond just being at the center, they should also be at the state level.
Yes, at state level and then local government level, because that also is a center of activities, you know, that consumes, you know, the wealth of the country. So, would it look after?
Yeah, but would that also reduce the influence of the governors? You know, because either way you look at it, the governors are still very influential, even in appointing people.
No, that's why I say,
the agencies.
First of all, you have to address the issue of election. You know, how does the man become whoever councillor or chairman? You know, does he enjoy any independence? You know, or was he supported by the governor? You know, all that will change now is that the governor cannot directly, you know, influence the polls, the result of the polls, like they are doing now. You know, they cannot directly do it as they are doing now, because now all they need to do, in fact, they don't even need to talk to the man. I mean, he appointed. He knows. He was appointed as the commissioner.
Fact, if you see them, you know, reeling out the outcome of elections, you might they are very, you know, interested in saying that the ruling party has won
everything. Yes, because we are the ones doing it. So what is it? You know. So, but that cannot be the case anymore. You know. So that's the point I'm trying to make. And the issue of corruption, why it was so endemic before, was because citizens had no means of making reports on these things. Now, social media has made life, you know, so easy in terms of access to dissemination of information. You know.
But I think people are paying attention to that, because right now, as we speak, you know, the fact, you know, revenue allocation is giving out, I mean, monthly basis allocation to state, to local governments. How many of Nigerians even know how much goes to their local government? How are they tracking it?
No. This is the problem that they're addressing now. You know, there is a disconnect between the average Nigerian and the wealth of this country. You know, he doesn't see it as his wealth, as his money, as commonwealth. No. He sees it as money that, it belongs to the
official.
State. Yeah, it's the governor that has the money. And the governor is the one dishing it out, giving it to, or even throw it from the vehicle or something. You know, so you find that they don't see the money or the wealth as their money. You know, there's a disconnect.
Okay.
You know what worsens the matter? Is the fact that the oil money, you know, I mean, the oil is far away from the man, you know, in Jigawa or Kano or something, or in the average Nigerian city. He doesn't see. He say, how it's not my money. That's why they'll even be praying for the man who is stealing their money, you know, and then giving him chieftaincy tazu and then all this, what have you.
So whatever he does.
But now, instead of that obscurity, you know, that is surrounding the money between the state and the local government, once it's removed, and they can now hear and see that the money is coming directly to the local government chairman, you know, because it will be announced.
Ask for accountability.
Yes, They will now ask for accountability. Because now how do you go to somebody who doesn't even know how much he's going to get, or who, whether they will give him or they won't give him, he doesn't know.
And by the way, he perhaps will also tell them that he doesn't hold the money. The money is in the bank account.
With the government.
He's only given certain amount to pay salary.
Exactly.
And
then, for him to keep quiet, they give him some. That's all. But all that, once that has been taken care of, then there will be direct linkage between the people and the person that is receiving their money, who is the person who they know.
And then looking at the intended, outcome. There's no. I mean, it is a known fact that the absence of governance at the local levels have contributed a lot. First, we're talking about insecurity.
Yes.
Fundamentally, there is a serious gap. And this is where we have the ungovernable spaces we are talking about. But beyond just getting the resources.
Yes.
Addressing insecurity also requires a certain reform, some will say, and certain amendments. Even though the government is looking at the possibility of, is canvassing for state policing and all of that, and perhaps maybe in the nearest future we'll be talking about also local government security, county and what have you. But then, how would just allowing the money to flow into the local governments address some of this problem, especially security?
No. You see, once you allow money to flow to the third tier of government, which is the closest to the people,
right,
productivity will increase. People will be employed. They will be given jobs to do. They will get contracts, supplies, and things like that.
The crime enablers will now be dealt with.
Yes, will be dealt with, exactly. The unemployment situation will cease. Will not be as bad as it is today. So that is one aspect of it. Before instead of people traveling to the headquarters of the state or coming to Abuja, they will just go to local government headquarters. And then they know that
they have access to the council.
Exactly.
As well.
The bridges or the roads or the schools or the healthcare centers and what have you. The governor, the chairman will give contracts, will give supplies, and
economic activities will spur,
domestic economy will boom,
thrive,
and once that happens, there'll be less tendency for anybody to think of going into crime, to run into the bush and then come and attack people, and then kill them unnecessarily, and then for what you wonder, So this is why it will directly address the issue of insecurity, because the insecurity is also directly related to the fact that people are unemployed. They have nothing doing.
It's a product, it's a product of the absence of governance, good governance.
Exactly. Instead of this money now being held by just the governor and the state, it will now be given to the 25 local governments or 30 local, or how many local governments you have in that state. The money will go to them, and then definitely, whether they like it or not, they have to use it. Because people will ask them. The question you are talking about, the people are not asking questions because they don't know even who to ask.
The first place.
Yeah.
In the situation where you have a caretaker, in some even they don't even have a caretaker.
They don't even have anything. And the governor, how can he get near to the governor? Who even listen to him? Nobody will listen.
And do you see the governors folding their hands? Because in the past they've fought all the necessary efforts to get them off their hands off the local governments. Even by influencing the state legislators. To reject some of those bills and what have you. Do you think they will fold their arms now and allow this?
No, you see, they've lost. At least Fagbemi is now on the other side, isn't it?
But there are many other Fagbemis also in the private sector.
But they know that they've lost somebody who has the knowledge.
The champion in
that. You have championed that, so that will fight them because he knows all the loopholes and what have you. So
he's not going to rechannel the energy towards defending the
exactly for the people now, not for the governors anymore. So I think the governors, of course, definitely they will not just go down, without any fight.
Resistance.
But they're not going to win, I'm telling you, because once the pronouncement comes from the Supreme Court and the order is given, you have to vacate that order before you can do anything illegal. Because whatever you do at that
and how can you even vacate the Supreme Court order?
Plus also, you have Section 162 of the Constitution, which says that the money should be given to an elected, representative of the people.
It's a constitutional requirement.
It's a constitutional requirement, and there's also an order from the Supreme Court,
the highest court of the land.
So where do you go? You know, so they will have no choice but to comply.
To comply. Okay. So how do we, I mean, yeah, it's a matter that is in court. I think it's coming up on the 30th of this month.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, but how can Nigerians support, I mean, this mission? Because many believe it's a very noble vision, you know, to get the local governments working will solve a lot of problems in Nigeria. Poverty, unemployment, insecurity, and a number of them. Perhaps even the current administration has realized that there is need to, I mean, rise up to this, perhaps looking at the amount of money that is going into the local governments. You know, they've been also crying that, okay, everyone is channeling, I mean, everyone is pointing accusing finger at the center when billions, trillions of naira are being given to states.
Into some, I understand. Yes. I mean, it's in the interest of this government to do that because it's giving them a bad name, this security situation, you know. Regardless of what they are doing, the poverty level, you know, is giving the government a bad name, and therefore, and they know that if they can address this issue of making this money available to the chairman of local government, you know, plus what they have done now, linking the local government to the center here, you know, online, you know, with some sort of, you know, so it will not be like what it used to be when the local government chairman were just, you know, using the money the way they like and nobody knows what is happening with the money. No. There will be some level of accountability, and there will be really people asking questions, you know, now, because unlike the far, you know, distance that they had between the governor and themselves, you know, now it's their brother, their friend, the man they are used to each other.
The government is accessible.
Exactly. The councillors are there who will also go, and then, you know, there are people who ask them, you know, at that road, why has it not been done? You know, we know that, and then the local government chairman will also be forced to also do what the governors are doing. They have to have budgets. And this budget will be announced.
The councils will have to be functional because they also have councils that need to be deliberating on issues that affect the people.
Exactly. So it becomes public knowledge, you know, what is available and what you have voted for this. And then the contractors now at that level, like we said before, you know, the suppliers, people who do little supplies and things like that, it will become now very active. And that will reduce the insecurity, you know, to the barest minimum, because that is the issue. It's nothing.
But how do you get the other side of it? Talking about the recruitment process now. Because the legal action, I mean the legal framework is against the governors. You know, but then getting them to also conduct elections. Do you think this, if you like, the caveat, if you like, part of the grounds being presented by the federal government, you know, this order that will be made, you know, to say that you are not compelled to release monies to states if they fail to do local government elections. I think that will encourage them to do it.
They have to. They have to. But like we have said earlier, we must change the way. I mean the organization, the arrangement of the conduct of the elections as it takes place now in the states. You know, it does not support this move, you know, by the government. Because why is it? If they say who pays the piper dictates the tune. You know, if the man has to now have how many masters? You know, he knows that even if he has all the money in the local government, perhaps he may not have enough money like the governor. You know, when next election is coming. You know, he perhaps may not be able to fund his elections as, you know. So I think there's a need to change that, and I think it has been passed, you know, by the National Assembly, you know, that the INEC should now conduct elections.
Yeah, but you know, it also have to go through the concurrence.
Yes,
which is another impediment.
Another impediment. But Frank Bemi can go to court also, can go to Supreme Court, you know, because
he has realized that this is the last bus stop.
To issue an order that elections must be conducted by INEC, you know, so that because the money coming from the to the
federation
account is from the national, isn't it? Federation account. Every account wants accountability, and accountability cannot come unless we have accountable leaders. You know, and accountable leaders cannot come under the process which we have now. You know, so if this works, you know, for then, I'm sure even that election one, if the people at the state level in the pockets of the governance and they can't exercise any independence, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice can go to Supreme Court to issue another order, you know, on the conduct of elections.
Thank you very much.
For the better of us, everybody in the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer Yabagi Sani, for talking to us on Daily Politics.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this at our national convention.
It's going to form a part of the conversation.
Yes, at National Convention, 31st of May.
Okay, great.
You are invited.
Okay, great. Inshallah, we'll be there.
Yeah,
you know, and it's one of the topical issues in our polity right now, and the fact that it affects everyone.
It does.
We will have to have a hand on deck.
Certainly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again for talking to us on Daily Politics. And
Thank you for having me.
This is a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, and also our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Once again, I'm Shafi'u Suleiman, thanking you for investing your time with us.